Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Today, we have another special great guest. She's from Amazonia in beautiful Brazil. And currently, she's now in Switzerland, I think so. Otherwise, you will correct. It's Mayra Castro. And I have met her in, I think, 2012, like
more or less
ago. So it's a long time. Working on a banned nuclear weapons project in Switzerland or Vienna. We will have to talk about this because it's a long time. But well, we welcome everybody. So I have already some questions from other persons that knew that I would talk to you. So I will introduce you first to Mayra. She has a very interesting profile. Mayra Castro from Brazil, as I mentioned, she lives, I think, since 6 years in Europe. She's multilingual, she's a TEDx speaker, she's a connector. Maybe you will explain us a little bit more what you mean with connector. Ambassador, partnership designer, and she's a lawyer. She has studied in Geneva and has lived also in Paris. And well, very interesting. She has over 10 years of experience with international partnerships, cultural translation, team leadership, and project design. And well, but more of this you will find out on her profile. You can just Google her. Also her TEDx speech, sorry. And well, Mayra, it's beautiful to have you here. I hope we will not speak the next time in 10 years, but not wait too long, also because of this COVID stuff. But it's beautiful to have you here. Welcome. How are you doing, Mayra?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation, and hello everyone who will be watching that later. I'm feeling very honored with your invitation to be here and talking to you. You know, we haven't been in touch since a while, and I also hope that we won't take that much for the next years.
Maybe you could, because this is a podcast, a YouTube channel that is not only focusing on the entrepreneurial stuff like startups, technology, presentations, but also about bringing people that have interesting stories that I think are inspiring. And one of these persons are you. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your biographical backgrounds, no?
Okay.
About beautiful Brazil, of course, but maybe how was it that you took these decisions that you took and that you are now in Switzerland?
Okay, so just a quick correction. I'm not in Switzerland anymore since 2014. I came back to Brazil, and I will start telling that story from my childhood. Because when I was a child, I used to say that I would become a diplomat. And that's why I went to Switzerland. That's why I studied law, did a master's in international law, and you know, I immersed into this universe of international politics and everything that Geneva, as you know, can offer you. So what happened to me after 6 years living in Europe and interaction with different cultures and sectors and everything else that this environment can bring to you, I was hired by the Swiss government to come back to Brazil, to São Paulo, and build their scientific consulate. So I became a diplomat in a certain point, working for a foreign government in my own country, work with science and diplomacy. So I wasn't officially or traditionally a diplomat. Thanks a lot, because I wouldn't be as happy as I was working for the Swiss government. And I realized my dream in a way that I could ever imagine. It was way better than I could imagine, actually. So in a nutshell, this is my path. And then what happened is I quit my job in the very top level of my career because I wanted more challenge. And I asked a question. And this is the point with questions. When you do ask the right questions, you will have the right answers. So I asked myself, what was the dream of the woman I have become? And when I did so, I realized that the work I was doing was just perfect, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do for the upcoming years. So that's why I decided to quit. And when I did it, it came a different moment in my life. It was when I I realized that my professional path is made of experiences rather than a linear career. I worked, as you know, with nuclear disarmament, human trafficking, science and innovation between countries, all sorts of things. But connecting and building partnerships was exactly what actually linked all those experiences. So I realized that that was my DNA. And that's why I have realized that I was a connector. So usually connections is an ability, but I take it as a profession. And I do so because I now can monetize everything that I have done so far in life, is what I have at the moment. So I use my network to make connections and make partnerships and build projects. So this is actually who I am. In these last years, I took the time to build my own personal brand, because I also had an insight. And basically what happened with us in society is that we are trained to have and do, but we don't have time. We're not programmed by society, by our parents and family schools, to look at ourselves as essence before what we do and what we have. So what I did was basically digging in and just realize who I was, because this is your source of inspiration, your source of everything that you have and that what you do. So basically my brand, MayraCastro.pro, is basically the summary of all this movement that I've done in the last years.
Could you tell us a little bit more about this process? Because I guess from this child wanted to become a diplomat to the moment where you redefined you, a lot of things happened, no? As you
yes.
So many experiences, so many intercultural stuff, no? And
absolutely.
And of course you were also searching, no? Like we are people, we search, no? And then how could you, because of this amount, I guess it was maybe difficult also, like this is who I am, this is my DNA. Maybe tell us a little bit more about this process.
Well, I don't think we would have much time to tell everything, but I will definitely tell you a couple of things. I think the first is that when you connect with your DNA, you can recycle yourself. What I mean is that at a certain point in my life, I wanted to be a diplomat, and I've turned it into a diplomat somehow. And I'm a connector now. But in essence, it's the same.
The
diplomat and the connector is exactly the same. What changed was my own perspective. So I kind of did the recycling with myself, and this is exactly what we have to do with ourselves. I actually was inspired by the recycling that we do at home, because if you take a beer can, it is a beer can, right? But when you do the recycling, it can become like something else, but it is still aluminum. And this is what I mean about actually finding your DNA. You can turn it into something else, but your DNA will still be there with you. So it was a very tough process. It took me 2.5 years. I think the first point that we have to bear in mind is the courage to be vulnerable, because you do have to challenge your values, your strengths, what you have, what you don't need anymore. You have to question everything in yourself, including your identity. Because if you don't change your identity, you can't change the results. I was one person who used to say to myself that, okay, if I want to change the results, I change the processes. That's not right, because the processes is about how. This is a mechanism. This is actually to serve into a purpose. But when you change your identity, then you can truly change the results. And this is what happened to me. When I started changing my identity, who I was thinking I was as well. That's a difference. What you think you are and what you truly are. Everything started to change. And that's why I came back to the Amazonia. So I lived 5.5 years in Sao Paulo after 6 years in Europe. And now I'm back to my region since 2019 and building not now who I am, but what I can do and I can offer to the world based on my essence, or based on who I am.
Wow. Very interesting. and you mentioned 2.5 years. For the persons that might be interesting in undergoing such a process, I think everybody, what would you suggest? Any ideas how to start? And maybe some wonder, oh, it's maybe, of course, it's too deep, or will I make money with it? Because we also live in a material world, and
yes, absolutely.
At this age they say, oh well, I won't be able to, I have children, I have maybe you could tell us something about this.
Well, I think the first point is that we don't need to change your job or quit your job. I don't think there is one recipe. You do have ingredients, and you do your own recipe based on your values, based on your life, based on everything, what you have, you do, and who you are. So I think that's the first point. You don't need to quit your job to change who you are.
If you want to don't have all to quit the job and go to Manaus?
No, you don't.
I'm going.
So please come. I think actually that makes people feel more comfortable, you know, because it touches our survival feelings, you know. As you said, we are in a material world, we need it, and we should basically want it even more than before. And I will tell you why. Because when you are prosperous and you are abundant, is exactly how and when you can give to others as well. I cannot help someone else if I'm sick, right? So you have to be fulfilled in order to be abundant and actually provide it to others as well. I think that's the mechanism. So I ended up doing a training. So I do have a training for people exactly to facilitate people's lives, because I said to myself, I invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of doubts as well, because you doubt at a certain point, and you put yourself in a vulnerability in the point that you actually challenge your survival. And I don't mean only, you know, money to pay your bills, but basically, where are you going? And I went through this process. So if I can do everything that I can to actually help people to not do the same or taking the same time and money, I'm willing to do so. So the first point is I do have a training. One of the things that I can share that I use that in when I'm teaching people is about identity. So you have, you know, books to search it. I would recommend you the Atomic Habits, sorry, from James Clear, in which he mentioned a little bit about, sorry about the noise, this matter of identity, processes, and results. And one simple example of it is, it happened to me, right? But what happened was a couple of years, you know, a couple of years, not like 15 years ago, I wanted to lose weight. So I did a diet, I went to the gym, I did everything I could, like I changed the processes, and it happened. But afterwards, you know, a couple of months, I ended up gaining the weights again. And what happens? What happens is that I didn't change my mind. I didn't change my identity. So if I wanted to keep as such, I have to be identified as some athlete or something else. But as I didn't change my mindset, you know, I gained everything again. So that's actually that tip that I could share with you guys. So if you want to change something, if you want to change your identity, then I go to the point in which how you do it, right? You have to change your beliefs. Everything is about belief. You have to be conscious of what we are thinking, who we are. So that's the key point to change your identity. Watch out your beliefs, what you are telling yourself every single day. Sometimes it is unconscious, but you have to make it conscious.
Yeah, actually, one question before the dialogue or interview was already that how do you do this? Because many people ask themselves, or they never taught us this. No, you are generating thinking, etc., constantly. No, many pessimistic, optimistic things, good, bad, etc. No, and how, from your experience, not only from your knowledge, from your experience, how do you or how do you do it? No, that because then they tell us from Vipassana, from Krishnamurti, from philosophers, from science, from Kahneman, from James Clear, for example, you should be here in the moment and think positively, or create your own thoughts, or be conscious and observe yourself how you're thinking. No, what would be your secret, maybe, or your hack? Maybe your recommendation.
That's a very good point. Actually, you mentioned about the thoughts. Scientifically proved, a human being is able to think about 50 or 60,000 thoughts a day.
Incredible.
So it's a lot. So our brain is responsible for 20% of all the energy that our body needs. So it's quite a lot. What I do, right? The first point is about training. That's an ability. Training can be actually learned, right? It's about repetition. So our mind is completely like, whoa, and it's okay. When you tell your brain that you have to be more calm, your brain will start doing the other way around. It's quite interesting how we function. So we are very complex as a human beings, right? So I would say that it's about training. I train myself every single day. And what motivates me to do this? Well, we actually function looking in the past, because what we do as repetition becomes a memory, becomes a habit, becomes a behavior. So if you are used to have a bad behavior, that will become something that your brain will repeatedly do, right? So again, it's about repetition. If you started doing something different from what you are used to do, it's about repetition until your brain becomes, used to that. So I would say that the first ability is patience with yourself and determination to look to the future. And what I mean the future is not about, 10 years, 15 years. It's about something that you'd like, because it's about seeking. And I watched a TEDx like a couple of days ago, and the guy was telling that seeking spirit, what was the emotion? Determination. So when you seek something, you are determined. So when you have something clear, you direct your energy to that, and actually motivates you to repeat it every single day, whatever you have to do. So should it be studying, should it be running, should it be anything else, making calls, but it's about repetition. And the emotion that is behind will support it. Motivation, determination comes and help you to be more repetitive when you do have something to seek. So be clear of what you want, what that represents to you, and try to think the positive emotion that can drive this, and that will make you repeat it, until you change your behavior. Does it make sense for you?
Sorry?
Does it make sense for you?
Yeah, I think so. We will change a little bit the dynamic before we close. We wrap it up. I will tell you like keywords, and you have to tell me what comes first in mind, okay?
Okay, cool.
For example, morning routine.
Morning routine. Morning routine is waking up early, meditation, and exercise.
What is early?
Early, for me, 6.
Okay. Personality, that person can be a writer, philosopher, I don't know, who you would like to have invited for a cup of tea or coffee?
Oprah Winfrey.
Sorry?
Oprah Winfrey. I would love to have a cup of tea with her.
What would you have asked her?
Wow, what I would ask her? I don't think I would ask her something like directly. I would just let her speak like freely, because whatever she says to us is meaningful. So I don't know exactly what I would ask, to be very honest.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? Well, it changes, there is one that I like a lot. It's The Biology of Belief from Bruce Lipton. that's a very interesting book, and it's very inspiring for me. You know, I'm a type of person that takes something from one side, from one sector, and puts in order. So this book for me is very inspiring.
It's very strange because today I downloaded this book from Bruce Lipton.
Are you kidding me?
Really, I haven't read it. And I downloaded actually all his books, there 5 or 6, I don't know. And I was watching his homepage, etc. Really strange. Okay.
Serendipity.
Other books that you would like to recommend?
I would highly recommend the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. It's a very touching book. I like biographies.
The Long Path to Freedom, no?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Have it on my bed. Okay.
Which one?
I have it next to my bed.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Favorite podcast?
Well, I'm not a podcast girl, I have to say, but I would highly recommend Mind Valley podcast. Do you know Mind Valley? Yes, so I highly recommend Mind Valley for everything. I'm very fan of everything in Mind Valley.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Wow, that's
maybe with Oprah Winfrey, a documentary.
That would be nice. Well, I don't have one single movie that I could actually, you know, mention.
Maybe documentary, series, something that you like. Otherwise,
no. Okay. For the moment, no. That's strange, right?
Best advice that you have received?
Wow. One that changed my life in 2011. My boss turned to me and said, Mayra, if what you want doesn't exist, make it happen. So that was very profound, and it really changed my life and in the way I see things. So when I want something and it doesn't exist, I don't care. I will make it happen. Because she told me actually that one day someone did it. Someone was the first, someone was the pioneer. So be the one you want.
Wow, nice. Inspiration.
Inspiration. I have a lot of inspiration, fortunately. I think my first source of inspiration at the moment is the nature. I'm surrounded by nature here in the Amazon.
We can see it.
Even my plants, sometimes I look at them to see about the innovation, about the strategies. There is nothing more present in this, you know, planet than the nature by itself. So it can teach us a lot, and we are not isolated. We are not owners of everything. We are part of something great and bigger. So this is my key source of inspiration at the moment.
Faith in oneself, faith, belief.
What belief?
Belief in oneself.
Well, you know, I use a lot of affirmations as a source of, you know, change. So I'm telling myself every single day that I am big, brave, and bold. Because I want something. I know that I have to be someone else, you know, I have to change my identity. And I need to be big, I need to be brave, I need to be bold to do so. Otherwise, I won't make it. So I have to repeat that every single time and every single day to myself until my brain started to understand it and believe in it.
What gives you sense in life?
Purpose.
Okay.
When I do something that I can share with people, I can touch people, I can impact people, that makes me happy and gives me strength.
Money?
I love it. And money is energy. I love money.
Sports?
Well, sports for me.
I was yesterday watching Champions League with so many Brazilians. So
you know what? I think the only sport that I like to watch on the TV is surfing. And the esports that I do at the moment that I like the most is neuroplasticity. Because it's about to put in your brain, you know, to go to the gym. So I consider it as a sport as well.
Wow, nice. Haven't heard that. Very good. And the last question, maybe 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Being woman.
is the best thing could ever happen to me. I think to be a woman is just the most perfect thing that nature has created. I will tell you why. I think it's very powerful to actually bleed every month for days and years and we don't die. And also we represent 50% of the whole, global population, and we are mothers of the other 50%.
Yeah,
so I love to be a woman. I feel that is very powerful. It's so powerful that people want to put us back and put us down. It's about power. So I'm empowered myself, and I love to be a woman. I know how hard it is to be, because the system is not turned to us. But when I look at nature and see myself as a woman, I'm part of it and I'm powerful. So I'm very conscious of who I am as a woman, and I love to be a woman, to be honest.
Being a citizen?
It has to be global. I think this whole planet is one single home. Whatever happens here in the Amazon actually will make you in trouble, and vice versa. So that's basically my perception.
Procrastination?
That happens. And it doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means that have some emotion that is taking you back. So I think that procrastination is something that you have to identify. What is the emotion? What is the memory that is behind it? And that is actually putting you aside.
And the last one, love?
Love. Well, I think it's a bit cliche, the phrase, but love is in the air. I think that... I think that love for me at the moment is something that I'm looking at myself firstly from within, because otherwise we don't grow as adults. We are still, with our childhood mindset in which you are always needing something or needing someone. When you realize that you are the source itself, you started feeling love from within. So I think that love is it, it's everywhere. Because I think that nature is made of love and abundance, So I try to feel it from within and try to nurture others from what I feel, from my energy, instead of trying to make people love me or something else. Otherwise, I'll be always dependent of something external to myself.
And one more, actually, now it's the space where I ask you, you want to say something else, but actually you said so many interesting things. But one question was also happiness, or one topic.
Happiness.
Happiness.
Okay, I can tell you something quite interesting. The moment I started thinking and doing personal, going back, I think that happiness, again, is something that you have to bring forth from within. Why am I telling you that? Because in this pandemic, I had to think and do a lot of personal development and personal growth in order to keep health and mental health, emotional health, because this is actually part of our immunity system, right? So I started realizing that I could be happy regardless of something, outside myself. And I had to do so because my sister, for example, she works in hospitals. So she is seeing death every day. So when she comes home and we live together, I had to give my best to her. So I realized that the interaction that we have as human beings can be a source of happiness just by itself. So I think it's a broad question, as love it is. But again, I think happiness is something that you can bring forth and give to others, and not looking at outside to find it.
Wow, was really great to listen to you. You talk about the mental health, about many interesting topics. So Mayra, was a wonderful talk to you, and I hope it's not the last for the next 10 years. And maybe after this COVID adventure that we are living, we can meet either in Europe or in beautiful Brazil. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very, very honored and happy to be here with you. And definitely that won't be the last talk we will have for the upcoming years, for sure.
Muito obrigado.
De nada.